Thank you, sir. Ma'am, thank you for being here. I think Ms. Dean said it, you know, we have people dying of fentanyl, drug trafficking, serious issue in our country. I was an old sheriff. We dealt with it in our county when I was a sheriff. I was listening what the chairman of the full committee said a few minutes ago about Butler, you having 16 agents there. Then I hear the chairman of this subcommittee talk about, so you have 7,100 agents, I guess, and what is your staffing? You maybe have 7,100 funding, but how many do you actually have? What's your, do you know what that number would be? Are you staffed at 90, 95%? Or?
Have it in here.
All right, well, maybe somebody behind you can answer that, but let me, this is the issue I have. So the UN General Assembly, did you say you're sending 1,200 of your agents up there?
That's correct, sir.
1,200. So when you find out the number, let's say you've got 7,000, 6,800, whatever that number, so you're gonna send 1,200. So 25% of your workforce is going to go to, is it New York for a couple of weeks? Is that the assignment to augment or supplement the Secret Service?
That's correct.
Do you ever just raise your hand or just stop and say, I can't send you 1,200 agents? The hell am I gonna do that for? We've got a border, we're losing 100,000 people to drug trafficking, to sex trafficking, everything taking place, and you're up there at the UN with 25% of your workforce. Do you ever say, that's not, I'm looking at your mission statement. The mission of HSI is to investigate, disrupt, and dismantle TCOs, which are transnational criminal organizations, and national security threats seeking to exploit the customs and immigration laws of the United States. Now, so I don't know how many human smuggling cases do you anticipate investigating at the UN?
The support to Secret Service is
How many? It's not the question. How many human smuggling cases? I mean, that's one of your missions. You ain't gonna investigate any of those at the UN. Do we consider, I mean, how many transnational criminal organizations do you anticipate investigating at the UN Assembly? Unless we consider the UN a transnational criminal organization. The point I'm trying to make is, as a leader, do you ever say, you're taking 25% of my workforce? And I don't think, quite honestly, you must not really be very well respected by the FBI. I say that because if the FBI, the lead investigator, Butler, never even contacted any of your 16 agents, you may just be filling a gap. That would be insulting, if, in my opinion, if the FBI, you have 16 people there to supplement, augment, whatever, and so what were you doing? Were you out in the parking lot with a road guard vest and a wand? I think you need to focus on what your true mission is, and that is, the mission at hand is to try to prevent the deaths of fentanyl and these organizations of sex trafficking coming in. But apparently, you're everywhere else. You quote, 101,000 Americans died from drug overdoses with fentanyl and other synthetic opioids responsible for 2/3 of these deaths in a 12-month period in 2024. But yet, oh, don't worry about it, we're gonna send 25% of our workforce up to New York for a couple of weeks. We're losing too many people. 41,000 pounds of fentanyl seized in 2023. How much do you think it gets through that's not detected? How much fentanyl would you estimate gets smuggled that goes undetected?
I can't answer that, sir.
Bunches, I'm sure. Houston, I represent Texas. 604 people died in 2023 of fentanyl poisoning. But yet, okay, let's send 25% of them up there to New York. Don't worry about it. We'll put the health and welfare of the American people last. We've got a problem on our hands. And our government now spends billions of dollars to combat the problem President Biden created in day one of his administration. Hard to fathom my colleagues on the left would want to take resources away from our brave law enforcement. There's a poster I have here. It's Kamala Harris. She's the leader of the Democrat Party. In 2019, an ACLU candidate questionnaire, she quoted, "As president, I will fight to pass my Detention, Oversight, not Expansion Act into law, which would increase oversight of ICE detention beds, slash detention by 50%, 50% detention bed, and halt funding for the construction or expansion of new facilities." How do you feel about that? Do we need to defund? How do you feel about that when you hear calls for abolishing or significantly cutting ICE funding? And what impact would that have on you, on HSI?
I defer any questions regarding detention facilities to ERO.
Yeah. Kamala Harris, you did this to the American people. Joe Biden, you've put the American people last.